What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another Among Us video. And in this video, I'm gonna be telling you why you should never play with Geoffrey in Among Us. So Geoffrey is one of the most dangerous imposters in all of Among Us, who can be found inside of the gap room, in between the two sides. Rumor has it that Geoffrey accidentally fell inside, and he mysteriously transformed into this massive creature. So whenever you use a platform, make sure to think twice. And before we get any further into this video, I do want to mention that 70% of you have not hit that subscribe button, which means that you're missing out on my Among Us story videos. So take a few seconds of your day to hit that subscribe button with the bell icon turned on. That way you're one of the first to watch these videos. And if you do end up enjoying this video and want to see more content like this, make sure to leave a like down below. Your support means a lot to me. But now let's begin with the story of Geoffrey. So who is Geoffrey? Geoffrey is also known as Geoffrey Plump, who is a Top Pat member and a supporting character in the Henry Stickmin series, who appears as an antagonist and infiltrating the airship. So Henry and Geoffrey have a pretty good relationship. Henry helped Geoffrey escape the brig, and Geoffrey thanked him and told him that it wasn't right what they did to him. And that is when they started to build up a pretty good relationship, which would soon come to an end. So Geoffrey is a very short man, with a very large head relative to his body. And no, I'm not roasting him. Geoffrey also wears a small black top hat on his head, so he does have some pretty good drip. Geoffrey also always has a brown pipe in his mouth whenever he's seen, and his eyes always appear to be tightly shut or barely opened. So Geoffrey's one of the only Top Pat members who sides with Henry after Reginald organized a mutiny against Henry for leaving Ellie Rose in the wall. And that is the story of Geoffrey. But now let's talk about his role in the airship map alongside the other crewmates. So Geoffrey's task in the airship was to make sure that Henry was always on task. And Geoffrey did a pretty good job at it. Whenever Henry needed some advice, he would go over to Geoffrey, and Geoffrey was always there for him whenever Henry needed someone to talk to, because even leaders need advice. They can't do it all alone. Geoffrey was one of the reasons why Henry was such a great leader, after he was put in charge to lead the entire airship crew. This crew consisted of many members, such as Ellie, RHM, Reginald, Sven, Bert, Geoffrey, Mr. Macbeth, and Munster. And their pilot was of course Charles. These crewmates had an important mission, which is to find locations to establish bases. But not everyone was on the right page. RHM, Reginald, and Sven had other plans, only for them, not for the others. While Geoffrey was laying on his bed, just thinking about life, he got a report from Ellie and Mr. Macbeth, who was checking the cameras, that Henry was now dead. Geoffrey couldn't believe it. Henry was a person that he took under his wing, and after all those years of working together, and him giving Henry all his advice, he was now dead. During this meeting, they realized that RHM and Reginald were nowhere to be seen, and Mr. Macbeth told the rest of the crewmates that he saw Reginald escape, so everyone thought it was him. But Sven was the only one that knew the truth. Geoffrey was so frustrated. How could Reginald do this to Henry? So Geoffrey left the room in desperation and searched for Reginald. So Geoffrey began to search across the entire airship map, checking every single corner. How could someone do this to Henry? Geoffrey just couldn't believe it. Henry did so much for the crewmates, and Reginald had to do this to him. While Geoffrey was looking around the airship map, he got a report from the rest of the crewmates that Sven told everyone that it was actually Charles, which caused Charles to get ejected. But for some reason, Geoffrey believed that it had to be Reginald. Mr. Macbeth best saw him. So Geoffrey continued to search until eventually he made it over to the gap room, and as he got on top of the platform, he accidentally slipped and fell into the hole. Geoffrey was completely passed out at the bottom, and the moment he woke up, he was screaming for help, but nobody was there to save him. As Geoffrey looked around, he realized that he was covered in this weird substance. But little did he know that this was radioactive waste that was leaking from one of the pipes. And this is what helped power the airship. Geoffrey couldn't do anything, so he was forced to stay and sleep there. It was now the next morning, and when Geoffrey woke up, he had tentacles coming out of his body and a very large mouth. That is when he realized that he had a new form, and he was seeking his revenge. So the way that I managed to encounter Geoffrey in Among Us happened when I was just casually playing. I joined this random lobby and it took a while for the match to start, but regardless, I managed to get in. I was the impostor and I was pretty excited. It's been a while since I was the impostor and actually won a game. But when I spawned in, my cooldown was frozen, my player was frozen as well, and I just couldn't move. The door in front of me was also closed, and I wasn't the one that closed it. I could then hear the sounds of a creature coming from the other side of the door, but as I mentioned earlier, I was unable to move. I ended up getting randomly ejected, but I need to investigate what's happening on the other side of the door. I wonder who's behind it. This time I was a crewmate and I made my way over to the gap room. So I got on top of the platform and I went to the other side, and I didn't see anything. So I got back on the platform and I returned back to where I was. As I was about to leave, I heard something behind me, so I stood still, and I saw a lime crewmate. His name was Geoffrey. Geoffrey then randomly vanished. So I thought maybe he went to the other side of the gap room, and when I got on top of the platform, I froze. My screen was then glitching, and I heard the sounds of the creature that I heard earlier. That is when a massive creature appeared below me with these large tentacles. It was Geoffrey. Geoffrey then opened his big mouth and ate the entire platform, including myself. I was now dead. If you would like me to add to the story, let's see if we can get this video to 25,000 likes. I do also want to give a massive shout out to Kitty King for helping me produce this video. If you would like to help out a smaller creator, make sure to go check out his channel and subscribe to him. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more Among Us story videos, make sure that you hit that subscribe button with the bell icon turned on. And if you haven't seen these videos, make sure to check one out